Most players think aim is all you need to win, but the truth is, real improvement in CS2 comes from mastering the little things, movement, setups, and smart plays. Today, I'm breaking down game-changing habits you probably aren't taking advantage of yet. I'm Louis, and in this video, you'll see why going up objects the right way keeps you from getting caught off guard, how to use crouch jumping and crouch slide peeks to outplay oppers, and why high-low setups with teammates can make sights almost impossible to lose, aiming at the neck instead of the head, and understanding when head armor actually matters. Timestamps are below if you want to skip to anything specific. Let's get into it. Now, a lot of people get caught off guard, especially on Ancient, because sometimes the house smoke fades and you're trying to jump up on these boxes and you encounter someone peeking you while you're jumping up on these boxes and it makes you inaccurate. A good example of this is when people are sitting here jumping, someone peeks and you can see all my bullets are instantly inaccurate. Now there's a really efficient way in order to jump up on these boxes, and there's two different ways that we can do it. So on these lower boxes that are, pretty much half the size of the player, the way you want to go up on these boxes is to just hold crouch, hold the D key, and then just let go when you're jumping up beside it. Since it's a little bit lower, you want to jump and then just have your legs pretty much extend onto the box. And you can almost do the same thing on a box like this, where you can sit here and crouch and then let go, or you can do something else where you want to instantly jump and then tap crouch. This is going to be the faster method when you're jumping up on these boxes, and it does take a little bit of practice to get used to, but Ancient is only the first map that you can actually abuse something like this. Now, another very common example of this happening is over here on Nuke at the lower B bomb site, where someone may be, planning behind silo and then try to jump up these boxes and a CT is rotating and peaks ramp, or maybe you're also a CT that is maybe jump spotting from double door. You see people running in and you try to jump up like this and you just get totally caught off guard. So we can apply the same things that we talked about on Ancient in order to get up on these boxes. So since these boxes are either half the size of the player or larger, we don't have to sit here and hold down crouch. We can simply just jump and then just tap crouch for us to get on the boxes efficiently. Now on smaller boxes like this, you're not always going to be 100% accurate, but since it is below half the size, this is where you would hold crouch and then let go. And then since obviously this is also a little bit higher than the average player height, we can just sit here and just jump and then tap crouch. And then with the railing, you already know what to do. This is a hold crouch and jump down. And this is going to ensure that you're not getting caught off guard when you're jumping on these boxes. So if someone does decide to peek you when you are trying to jump up, you're able to be 100% accurate on anyone trying to peek you, no matter where you are in this jump. And you should be able to get a lot more kills if you do this. Now, something that a lot of people don't really understand is the movement inside of Counter-Strike. And if you're new, you probably don't even know that this type of peek exists, and it's the slide peek. A lot of people think when you peek, you have to swing and then counter-strafe to always be accurate. There's actually a cool little gimmicky way you can peek that is going to help you if your movement does suck in the game if you are newer to Counter-Strike. So instead of just swinging and trying to counter-strafe and have really good crosshair placement, something you could do is what we call a crouch swing, where we're getting close to the wall and we're just swinging like this. As you can see, I don't have to counter-strafe at all to be 100% accurate, but in order to do this peek correctly, there's a few things that you do need to understand. Is that a wide peek is definitely the fastest way to peek and probably the most efficient, but like I said with the whole movement thing, if you're not that good at counter-strafing, this is the best way to wide peek or wide swing. But the one thing that you want to keep in mind when you are doing this is that you don't want to crouch too early, because if you crouch too early, you can see that I'm coming off this angle very, very slow, and anyone playing over here towards J-Hall, especially, it's very common for someone to sit here with an op, will be able to kill you very easily just because of how slow you are. Now, it's the same thing if you also wanted to do it towards the back wall. This isn't the most efficient way, because even though you're on the back wall, you're going to see each other at the same time, you're going to appear slower. So that's why we want to be up against the wall, because this is how you're going to appear fastest. But the most important part of this peek is the timing of the crouch. So like I said, if you crouch too early, you're obviously going to be very, very slow. So the timing of the crouch is when you're about right here at the angle. When you know you're about to be exposed or able to see where this person might be playing is where you want to crouch, which would be about right here. Now, the reason why this is good is because any good player is going to have good crosshair placement, where no matter where they're playing inside a J-Hall, they're always going to be at that head level with their crosshair like this. So they're going to be waiting for you to swing at that head height. Now, what makes this peek also good as well is that you're moving. So this person is going to be aiming at head level. Chances are he's going to start shooting as soon as you swing and you're kind of decreasing your height with that crouch, and he's going to have to start to track you. Now, a lot of newbie players or even good players are really bad at tracking their recoil. So once they start shooting, they're going to have to start to try to track you. And this is what makes this peek really good. So to put everything together, the peek would look something like this, where if I know he's J-Hall, I just get close to the wall and I just peek him exactly like this. And that's going to give me a lot of good kills if I'm really bad at counter-strafing, if I'm new to the game. Now, if you're ever in a 2v1 or even a 2v2 situation, something that a lot of people don't do is what we call a high-low setup. So So you can see I have a bot place right here, which we can pretend is my teammate. And something that you can do is literally just make a high-low setup where you and your teammate are essentially just on top of each other like this. As you can, see the name is high-low, where one is high and one is low. And this is going to create a situation where essentially whoever's going to be peeking this angle pretty much just can't even win at all. So if this guy wants to try to peek over towards site and try to peek, this high-low setup where I would be above my teammate, you can see that he's going to have to fight two people. He's going to have to try to commit to one, which always ensures an easy trade. There's also another very common setup over here towards B, where a lot of teams have been doing this setup right here, where they have a teammate down low like this, and their other teammate is just here behind them. He can even be up here on this box to ensure that they're not going to get, colladed from any other bullets, and they just sit here and hold tons like this. This is the most basic fundamental setup that guarantees either 2v1 duel where you guys get the kill because you're both shooting at them, or you're just guaranteeing a trade altogether. And there's so many places on the maps where you can do these setups where you can even have, someone on top of big box and someone below, and they're very easy setups that you don't even need a teammate to communicate, because imagine you're just, in a solo queue Dust 2 game, you're playing B, and you have a noob teammate that either wants to play in this position, or maybe he's sitting over here towards back plat. Now, he doesn't even have to communicate. You can pretty much just see the situation that is happening, and you can just come right in front of him like this and have this nice high-low setup, because anyone that's peeking is going to have to either choose this guy or you that's playing directly in front of them, and you don't even have to communicate this at all, because a lot of people and a lot of newer players, especially you guys watching this video, probably play a lot of games where people aren't even communicating at all. I have trouble with game sense. Something that you need to really understand that I lacked in the beginning of when I started playing Counter-Strike is understanding what sound means. Now, overpass is a really good example of this, especially as a CT, because it can tell you a lot about the round. A good example is if T's want to push into playground and try to go fast towards A, chances are you're going to encounter, one flash with a nade, or maybe there's two flashes in one nade, or however many amount of nades that you guys can think of. And what this is going to tell you is that how many people are actually towards A. Because if I was playing over here towards A and I encountered two nades and a flash almost at the same time, that is telling me that there's 3 people towards A, which shows that obviously they're running a heavy A default. Now, if you're playing games where, maybe you're just playing casually and you're in the lower ranks of Premier, this can still give you a lot of information, especially like over here towards water, because what CT should be doing at the start of the round is throwing this molly that's going to land in the pipe. And if T's want to take it fast, they're going to simply just put this out and run through, which is going to give you a lot of information that someone is inside of water. And this can set you up for plays where maybe someone wants to come over here and flash over short, or do so many other things that you could possibly do. So if you are counting utility and really understanding what that means, it's going to help you a lot in your rounds. And most of the time, especially in the lower level lobbies, where the most nades are on the map is where the T's are going to end up. So you have a good and better understanding on where you should be playing towards the end of the round, instead of trying to dissect and guess what is actually happening. Now, I've been coaching a lot of you guys over on Metafy, which you guys should go check out down below if you guys want a demo review. But a lot of you guys that I review, I noticed you guys are getting caught out in the open. So there's this rule that I like to follow that I kind of invented called the chain rule. Now, what this rule means is that if you are someone that tends to be caught out in the open a lot when you are trying to take duels, something you want to do is chain yourself to an object. Now, the reason why you want to be playing around objects is because first off, you can pretty much cover half of your body, or even play any sort of headshot angle where you can ensure that most of your body is covered. It pretty much gives you extra armor, and it gives you a better advantage in a duel that you could take. So if you are chained to an object, that's one of the first things that you can do. But also, if you are newer to the game and you are a beginner at Counter-Strike, a lot of times you may notice that you tend to whiff. Like a good example is if I'm holding this angle here and someone, does some weird peek on me at ramp and I kind of whiff, I can come back and hide behind this object and get away for free, rather than me being out in the open, try to whiff and then run away, and then all of a sudden I'm caught out in the open trying to counter strafe. As an example, I'm newer to the game, I might have really bad movement and I'm not able to actually stop and shoot. So if you chain yourself to objects, you're able to play around these, you're able to play different angles, and you're able to just stay alive altogether. Now, we can even use the same example over here towards B, because look at all these objects that we can play around. Now, it's very common for people to sit here and just jump spot over towards B, but if you notice they start to rush, you can play around all of these objects. You can take all these different angles. You can stay alive by just jiggling around these pillars that are on the site, and it really gives you a good opportunity to stay alive and also buy time for your team to rotate and throw any sort of utility. So if you are a site anchor, or if you are a player that just tends to be caught out in the open all the time, make sure you chain yourself to an object, choose what object you want to play around in the round, and then just make sure you're always trying to be attached to that, and you should notice that you're staying alive a lot more and also getting more kills. So the aim tip that really accelerated me when I first started playing Counter-Strike was not necessarily crosshair crosshair placement, but where I should be aiming at on the player model. So a lot of people tell you to aim at the head, but this is actually the wrong thing to do. You guys want to make sure that you're aiming at the neck. Now, the reason you want to be aiming around the neck level is because the hitbox for the head is actually rather larger than you would think, or even if I aim at the bottom of his mouth, you can still see that I get a nice clean headshot. So the reason you want to do this is because a lot of people misunderstand on where they should be putting their crosshair, where I see a lot of noob players have their crosshair way above head level, and it makes them miss their first initial shot, where if your crosshair was above this player when he wanted to swing, if I decided to, just click my mouse one key, you can see that I'm dealing 0 damage at all. Or rather, if my crosshair was maybe just a little off of the shoulder and not on the head hitbox, I could be dealing damage onto his shoulder, which is still some free damage which can help my team get kills, because maybe if I get 2 shots off on the shoulder, maybe they only have to shoot him twice or 3 times to finish off the kill. Now, the other reason why this is good is because for your recoil control, where if you aim too high, then you're going to have to really try to pull down initially, even if your recoil maybe isn't even that good, assuming that you guys are newer to Counter-Strike. If you're aiming too high, or maybe you're even off a little bit, you're gonna have to really try to compensate. But if you're aiming right here at the neck, you necessarily don't even have to pull down if you're aiming too high, because if you're too high, you have to really pull down to try to adjust. But if your crosshair placement is at the neck level, all you have to do is literally pull down, or just pull down slightly and just let the bullets pretty much just do the work for you, which is a very noob thing to say. But if you're someone that's not really well versed with recoil inside of Counter-Strike, this is definitely the best thing you can do. It even works with guns, even like the MP9, where if I want to aim at the neck, I can simply just let the recoil go up to the head and barely pull down at all. Keep in mind that I still am pulling down. I'm not just letting the recoil go like this. I'm just doing, a little slight pull down instead of really trying to commit to a spray. It's just a little tug rather than, doing the full recoil control. Now, a little tip to save more money on the CT side is let's talk about what you should be buying. Now, we're going to focus on armor because a lot of people always opt into buying Kevlar plus helmet, but you actually don't need this at all while you're playing on the CT side, because the AK, as we know, does a one-shot headshot, so having head armor doesn't really protect you at all. So if you know that the Ts are going to be buying, all you need is a rifle and half armor, because no matter what, even if you do have this head armor, if they have an AK, this is literally just money just wasted that you could opt in for buying like a smoke, an extra flash, an HE, or even if you wanted some sort of sidearm as well, or if you just want money into the next round, that is also going to help. Now, if you know that their buy is really weak, you definitely want to buy head armor, of course, because if they do have pistols on the T side, whatever pistol they buy, they're going to be able to one-tap headshot you without head armor. So understanding their economy is also a big plus into this as well. But if you know that they are buying, or maybe, it's your first buy round, they're all going to have AKs, don't instantly buy head armor. Save it for a round when they have eco, and that's when you can invest. And this is going to help build your money up on the CT side. So if you do lose a few rounds, you may be able to afford like a deagle and have enough money to buy next round, or maybe you have enough money to actually have a good, sort of half buy or full buy, just because you've been saving money without committing to buying head armor when you don't actually need it. Now, there's always a controversy if crouching is good or bad in whatever FPS game you're playing, either it's Counter-Strike, Valorant, whatever it is. And in theory, crouching isn't necessarily bad, but it's about how you do it. So if I was an A anchor playing on Mirage and I knew they were coming out A, the worst thing that I could do is just sit here and crouch and just try to spray everyone down. Crouching makes me a sitting duck and a very easy target, and it also makes it very hard for me to move. As you can see, my movement speed here is very, very slow if I'm just simply holding down crouch. So the best thing to do if you are someone that likes to crouch is something what Donk does, is where when he sees an enemy, what he'll do is he'll just tap crouch like this and just, start shooting at him, because this is what you want to be doing, because when you're crouching, you're moving your hitbox and your head hitbox where people might be aiming, because if someone's coming out onto the A site, they're obviously going to be aiming at that head level, and as soon as they see you, they're going to start shooting. But if you tap crouch, your hitbox and where they are aiming is going to shift downwards, and they're going to have to really adjust. So this is going to give you a really good advantage. If you do see someone, just simply just tap crouch instead of committing hard crouch like this, because even if this person is swinging ramp and he's very slow to react, you could already be crouching, and all he has to do is simply just move his mouse and start to shoot you. And if you just start to whiff, you're pretty much just an easy kill for him. So your main focus with crouching is think about how you can be a really hard target. Now, if you are in a situation where, let's say you're over here towards triple and you do want to just hold crouch like this, because obviously if someone does come out of ramp, they're going to be pre-aiming this headshot angle, and if you are crouched, you're going to throw them off. What you want to do is, as soon as you see them, you want to let go of crouch and then start shooting. The reason you want to do this is because they're going to be aiming for your head. They're going to swing, adjust, start to shoot. Once you're already going up, they're hitting body shots on you, you, and then that gives you a good opportunity to instantly headshot him because you should have really good crosshair placement. You should be looking at head level. You just come up instantly, you know, 2-tap him, 3-tap him, whatever it is. It should give you a really good kill. Now, something that noobs do not understand is how to use utility properly and what it's used for. A lot of people just maybe don't even buy it in the lower ranks or have no idea on how to efficiently use it. So the summary of what utility is used for inside of Counter-Strike is it's to eliminate threats. If you have the mindset that you need to just eliminate a threat with your utility, you're going to be able to use it a lot more efficiently. Let's take an example of mid on Mirage, and we're on the T side. If we just automatically swing out mid, there's a lot of threats that we could run into. The first one being connector, the second one being window, and then someone over towards cat. So in your mind, you need to think about how can I eliminate these threats? Or it's very simple. You just smoke window from spawn, someone top mid comes in molly's connector, and then someone is flashing over here behind the boxes, or they're flashing way above boxes, and then boom, all 3 threats are already eliminated. Now, this simple concept here is what you would obviously call map control because you're taking mid, but you can see how we shifted the focus to eliminating the threats instead of just thinking how can we take map control. Even if you're trying to entry out onto a site, you want to think, okay guys, what threats can we eliminate? Well, if we're coming out A, common positions are over here towards under balc. We have the A site, we have a window rotator, and a top con player. So the first thing that we could obviously do is just smoke top con. We want to make sure that no one in CT is able to kill us. So I think a deep flash would be really good if we wanted to come out towards A. And then if someone was in palace, they could also molly towards under balc. And you can see us executing the site might look like we are executing, but we're simply just eliminating threats. And then once we come out, flash over spawn, we can flash off this jungle angle, and then we're able to clear everyone towards site. Now, granted, you're not going to be able to eliminate all threats, but you can see that if we cross out this connector guy with the top con smoke the flash, the jungle player with the flash, the deep CT guy with the flash, the under balc guy with the molly, we only have the A site to worry about, which we can hard focus on because we eliminated all these threats. This mindset change will definitely help you guys and understand what utility you guys should be buying, and you should definitely know what to throw just by this shift. Now, skill jumps are very important, especially on a map like Mirage or Ancient, even Inferno with the little silent drops or the porch boost. And these are important because they can catch your opponents off guard and also give you kills and create some pretty crazy timings. So a good skill jump that is very easy that you guys can learn on Mirage is if you have this far spawn in CT, you can run out of spawn, jump on top of default, and get into palace very quickly. Now, what this is going to do is give you a pretty fair aim tool that if anyone is coming into palace, you're going to be able to see them as soon as they peek and you will be ready for them. But if you don't see them, you're able to walk through palace and get all this information and know that everyone is probably towards mid or B, or at least the A lurk is over here towards ramp. Now, another skill jump on Mirage is the cat jump as well, where you can jump over here towards cat and get a good angle up on mid, where no one really expects this angle because it's such a huge off angle, or you could even jump and just play right here, which is a position that a lot of people don't know. And since we talked about utility earlier, if you're playing in the lower ranks of Premier, chances are no one's going to be flashing this area of the map at all, so you should be able to get a good free kill and back away. And the other skill jump that is very easy to learn that isn't as hard as the cat jump is just this little van jump, where you can jump into apps and get a really good angle on anyone running underpass or getting into upper B. And just learning these can really get your team a lot of information, but it can also open up a lot of free kills for you, especially if you are an opper. If you do like to op, taking these angles early or making these jumps will guarantee you guys a lot of free kills and a lot of free 5v4 rounds.